thinking a lot about just this very idea now, how within so little time, this very idea of the Western democracy has totally collapsed. I mean, it's just a farce now. That only in the United States of America is this even remotely like a meaningful concept of that self-governance and rule of law. I'm thinking through like just stories I'm hearing now where like now, no, Canada's got a number of various scandals, but basically its attachment to China, Trudeau's, just the Canadian left in general. I mean, it's just funny that this idea of this comeuppance, that because we can fight the government back, we're the only people left now that can on the whole planet. The whole planet. With a handful of other nations where it's just the people are just so unruly that they require that everybody kind of that it's just utterly devastating when the people decide that they don't want to go along with what's going on. Like it's just utterly devastating. It's just too easy. It's just too easy for motherfuckers to start trouble. So, like that's a weird turn. I mean, it's not like so much this weird turn of events as it's this mark of, there's a moment where it's a mark of pride, but then to think of it that it's almost like sheer luck in a way. I mean, but then it's that whole thing of, it's built into the rule system, and so it's a part of our destiny. And so now this attempt by the administration to try to, in some way, disarm people from using, and I thought about it, I said, what is it about the AR-15 that's really getting these motherfuckers? And it was like, it's that it's effective. That anyone, a woman can use an AR-15 and hit people effectively and defend herself effectively. And that's what the deal is. Handguns are relatively ineffective as a method of self-defense. How many rounds you use compared to how many rounds are going to hit your assailant, things like that. The learning curve of handguns and such like is such that it's like, well, no, the reason the AR-15 is a problem for people is because it's effective, that your wife can use it, your daughter can use it, and can defend herself with it. It's built that well. It's that beautifully built. And that's what makes people upset about it, really. And just like how everybody's angry at the European summa of fundamental knowledge that would make up the 7 liberal arts and sciences, that the way that this had been taught was effective. That's why it had to be destroyed. That really, we really can bring back a world through just looking through past records. We could bring back the essence of a lot of the world when it worked well. There's a lot of things we could bring back that worked well, that with no problem of, children won't be able to conceive of the idea of this, that, or the other. And it's turning out more and more. Not only is this not true, it's more that really now we live in sort of this almost juvenile level understanding of how much we used to know within only the last 70 years. And that's something that now I really have, ever since reading Briefolt's The Mothers, I've been really starting to understand, like, no, we've always had words for this. This has always existed. It's just Briefolt didn't live long enough to see how when modern society tries to once again turn back to something pagan and savage in its sexual norms, it loses almost everything modern within no time at all. And I'm thinking that based on the way he writes, that he wouldn't approve of the way things have gone at all. We've somehow managed to completely ruin all of the gains, all of the modern gains are being lost. And that people think they're kind of gaining something by sort of barely getting a little bit of licentiousness or license, because they could smoke pot and can, and can have casual sex, as if they're gaining something tremendous, and also as if really, let's just get down to it, as if that's new. There's really this fundamental idea that there's something new to it when white American music of Greater Appalachia and black American music both expose a long tradition of people stepping out on their men or their women. They also have songs of love, romantic love, passionate romantic love. These were separated from other forms of music on the radio. The R&B station was often the rhythm and blues and country station. That rhythm and blues and country were all played as a section. It would be rhythm and blues, and then you'd have country. And the reason why is because these were the music that it was for these other people. It wasn't for the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And because it was its own section, this would be where you would hear the original. So say the Wasp part of it, you would hear the cover version of a song. But it wasn't until you were listening to the rhythm and blues and country show that you got to hear the original. And so and if it's from rhythm and blues and country, so songs like that were unique to those populations. Those populations are the populations that are also associated with sexual license, being sort of sexually promiscuous, actually having some kind of real history of that. In our cinema, these will be the groups of people that are more promiscuous. Greater Appalachians are usually pictured as greasers, the poor, more brusque white people in a scene. The brunettes, brown hair and brunettes. The guy will have like a leather jacket, the quintessential leather jacket wearing white man. He wears a leather jacket. Now this has changed quite a bit. We know we just don't have the same kind of cultural origins and stuff, and everybody dresses like kind of like cholo / black people, like a collision of cholo black people in prison, and a rap video, like a prison rap video or something like that. So this idea that Briefolt's making me think more and more about these sexual mores and sexual norms that that we're starting to see that like I like this idea really that he's kind of exposing to me this thinking of no, that is always there it's in the firmware. That's I think a way of thinking of it. There we go. That's it. I had to put it in some kind of terms like that. That is in the firmware. That Brifol kind of puts it together as no matrilocal polygyny and such. That's all in the firmware. Humans ended up coming up with this one rare gem, and that was monogamy. But it was a very small group of people and at a very specific time. And what's been achieved from it is very interesting. But it also, it's like any plant. It's like the weed plant. The weed plant only is the weed plant because you put pressure on it. You put very subtle pressure on the plant, and that's how you got the result. You had to breed it to do that too. It had to be able to give you that result. So in a way, I think of it in this sense. This is where I get kind of like that, the way that like the rose bush as an allegory for humanity and stuff like that, like kind of pops up in my mind. You know, this is the Rosicrucian allegory, you know, and you put certain pressures on the organism and you get certain you get to see what the results are. But you know, and if you do it enough, you start to see that there's certain results that happen over and over again. So with our monogamic society, we reach the moon. We've explored the stars. We've come up with medicines and conveyances that have made life easier for everybody. Some diseases, in fact, have been completely obliterated and came up with an entire way of calculating currency as well that now might revolutionize the very concept of how we understand exchange across the species. Oh, and we made a worldwide communication network so we could all communicate with each other constantly at all times. That the pressure that was put on humans through this unique period of monogamic marriage and procreation ended up making people do incredible things. This hasn't really lasted that long. When you think of that, it's 2012. That's only 2,000 years. And monogamy is something that Europeans have brought to the world and was seen as an oddity of European Christian culture only over about the last 400, really. So this is a unique way of breeding that puts pressure on humans to do different things when economically they make different economic choices, and that in fact will then do strange things such as research and invent at levels like we've never imagined. Like we've just never seen anything like what we did over especially about the past 150 years to 250 years. And yeah, I'm very fascinated by it. My mind is kind of whirling over some of the ramifications of like the way he's putting stuff, the way he's making me see it now. But what's interesting though is to have seen the manosphere come, to see some of these guys go, but then to also like have this to see for a moment like this okay let me try to think this through. Okay, to see the MGTOW world come up with and go through its iterations, where there's the pickup artists, and some people get married. There's people who, who are married. There's people with girlfriends. There's people because the idea is it's a man going his own way. He's doing things his own way, and in some way, shape, or form, there's other men paying attention to them because they like the way he does his thing. This almost guru part of the YouTube culture that actually is quite genuine, which is really the exchange of ideas. And that this is another thing that is while we have like this real way of calculating new inventions and novel ideas, there is a way of doing this, I've found out. Is it important when you have large swaths of the planetary population that suddenly take on a new idea? Is it a big deal if people suddenly take on Aristotle, who would have encountered it only in something specialized? They wouldn't have really encountered Aristotle in anything other than some kind of school setting of some sort. But then, beyond that, they end up encountering, say, the 48 Laws of Power on YouTube. They end up encountering then Chinese philosophy, that they would have never read both Sun Tzu and von Clausewitz. And that's something that, I don't think there's a way of really calculating that ability to know when you've cross-pollinated ideas, that two populations that would have never encountered each other's ideas. And how, because if it wasn't a problem for sort of governance and control of populations, then you wouldn't see that how, like, China actually doesn't allow words. Like, there's whole words that China won't allow on the internet. Like, I think right now tennis is not allowed on the Chinese internet, like the word tennis, because of some issue they're having right now. So I've been, so I'm okay. So I'm trying to take it back to what I was thinking before with, okay. So now we have this internet that has woken people back up to this idea of, no, humans actually procreated by just kind of wildly fucking each other. We scarcely, the only reason people got married was to team up so that they could work. Women were fundamentally just a labor, almost a beast of burden. It does explain then why the Greeks would have seen their wives the way they did, as just simply you had sex with them when they were young, maybe you got some kids out of them, but overall what they were for was work. And that by the time you would have seen that era of the Roman Empire, there were probably men who were relatively poor who would have had multiple wives. And that idea that it had become a Mediterranean norm to simply have a number of women around for the purpose of running your household, and that's what they were for. But now what's interesting is that, okay, so we have the internet that could tell us all this. You have to read something like Brifolt's book to get this idea of like, no, we keep trying to Christianize it by saying you're allowing for some kind of freedom of behavior, and then equating it with sort of Christian tolerance, and then saying that, well, no, you're just being very, very kind and tolerant toward others to let them do this thing that's really bad. And so I started rolling through like that to retard the sexual progress or the sexual maturation, and that you get the results. The Chinese American girl, this girl who is basically dressed up as her mother until pretty much about 18, and then she gets a job while going to school, or goes to school, and is then allowed to start dressing like a grown-up woman. And I remember what it was like to see certain women suddenly no longer looking like their mom. And you were like, holy crap, that's what you look like underneath all that stuff earlier. And Chinese girls in the 90s invented wearing big white sneakers and mom jeans. They invented it because their moms would dress them up dead on with the same clothes. I felt for those girls so bad. But the thing is, it's not like the Chinese were comparing notes with like the Catholics. If we just make sure our kids stay kids, then as they get into their sexual maturation, 18, 19, 20, then it's easier. They have a smaller frame of reference. They have a smaller period of time to make critical choices on what to do sexually and mating. And under those pressures, the idea is that they will get with somebody who will be a good teammate for the rest of their life, and that they'll work chiefly at that goal. With school kind of being the new thing that kind of takes people away from that goal, because it's supposed to offer them then an even greater advantage to having a comfortable later life. So they might not need that teammate when they would be able to earn more than enough for themselves to grow old by themselves. And also for this idea of the pursuit of knowledge, like that they would be gaining some kind of unique insight into a field that they're particularly interested in. And this is one that I think of a lot with Aaron Clarey, and the way that he puts it, that Aaron Clarey has made, and like how Aaron Clarey, the way I think I would put it is, it's work is work, work is a 4-letter word, fun is a 3-letter word, and they don't share any letters. That lets your dreams die. Learn something people will pay you for, that kind of thing. Learn something people will pay you for. So I've thought about how, okay, so you have this sharing of the idea that it's like, oh, I could get the bag, fuck around, live like a teenager, really, have like sort of my own sort of high status, super low class celebrity dating drama life that will be all over social media for my friends to see. And then at some point somebody will come along and they'll settle for me. I'll settle down, and we'll have some whelps. And that I've seen this. I've seen women do this. I've actually seen men like actually get suckered and give in to that. It's fascinating. I've seen more than one man do this too. that, yeah, it's like, it's the clock goes off. One of these women literally even said, as she's dating the guy, she's like, I am going to have his kids. And she got what she wanted. And it was one of these things where I'm like, you popped that shoot. That was expert. That was fucking expert. But now there's this part of me that I'm getting it. And I'm like, no, it's nothing new. It's nothing special. It's what humans do. It's just what we do. It's actually a bit banal and boring and low class. It was actually ugly and low class because, wow, this woman and this guy are ugly as hell. These two that I'm thinking of. Yeah, ugly girl popped the shoot. Like, hideously ugly girl, too. Like, I mean, like, you really, like, you just sit back and you're like, holy crap. You are fucking hideous, you know? And, yeah. But anyway, I'm constantly giving women terrible fucking advice on dating and relationships. Like literally one of these women who I'm just sitting back like you're some kind of dangerous mutant of some sort. Like, yeah. You're so mutated. And anyway, I even look at it on Facebook every once in a while, something she'll post. I'm like, God damn, you're mutated. So you have these women living in this way that Rushvi had described, where they'll literally have drones taking pictures of them. The only reason why that hasn't happened is because the drones will run out of power. They're difficult to use. They will require they require 3D spatial skills, the ability to conceive of where the drone would be in 3D space around oneself. So, you know, that's, yeah, until that's completely automated and the drone understands the idea of camera angles and things like that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. A man is going to have to design its automated flight path around the person with the device. And once that happens, then you'll have these automated flight path names, what kind of sweep of the camera you're looking for, things like that. Maybe I'm making Ollie rich right now. And Oliver's he's going to call it the Oliver app. They take pictures of hoes. Beautiful pictures of hoes. But you see, it's even the MGTOW world, like, is going to make money off of chicks, like, because we got to. I mean, that's the way the world works. Without the women spend the money, you know. That's the way the market works. And so that's the thing. The revelation of what is true, and that how everybody adapts to that. And so now it's like we're looking at all these women on these dating apps and TikTok and such, that as they talk about dating, they're talking about they love the fact that they could get all the D. They could get any D, all the D. They could literally text the D to come to them. But then when they want a teammate, oh my gosh, yes, check it out. There's like the one seagull. The one seagull is like chilling. You see him? It's like one seagull, like kicking it, like walking around. They're like, what are you up to? He's like, what's up, homies? What's going on? I love it. It's that. He's like, what's up, homies? See, that's the white dude who's not taking any shit. He's not taking any fucking shit. Look at that. He's like, what's up? Yeah, I think I'll just pause right here. Yeah, I think I'll just chill right here. What's up, homies? Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, homies. No drama up in here. You know, I'm just chilling with you guys. What's up? I love it. You know, just keeping the yard down. You know, just keeping the yard down, bro. Love it. So yeah. So with these complaints then about the way, like, oh, dating is like this, dating is like that, So as you listen to the dating things, and I start thinking through like the mothers, I'm like, no, this isn't that dating is failing you. Dating is getting you what you evolutionarily want. NED at command. Like that's polygyny, matrilocal, matriarchal. That's the way we were. You had about 100 people around you. You wanted some D. You could get the D. It was always available. You want the teammate that goes along with that, and that is new. This idea of men who have accrued wealth because they're beasts of burden, that they could have flocks of beasts of burden and tradable animals, and that these flocks are what make them rich, and that the equivalent now would be a car, a conveyance that provides labor, automated beast of burden. Or constant access to these, which would make you almost a noble, that you could constantly just pay people in other social castes to provide you with a beast of burden or do the labor for you. That's the one, the ultimate that women want. And he could just pay for it at all times and not worry about it being done. But now, the love of sort of the man who is handy. This is a Western world norm that, I mean, people might think it exists in other places. It doesn't quite, though. That because to have the tools that you would then actually be able to have skills that would be farm mechanic skills that you learn when dealing with beasts of burden, or owning property, that you would be able to fix the property, fix the machines. Those come from multi-generational investment in the man, so he would know that. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how to fix machines. He's never been around the machine he's trying to fix. He never owned one. A lot of women have no idea what is coming, and I think a lot of men do, because we're built to understand this. And MGTOW is something of beautiful recent evolutionary training, that we're becoming the monks and the Templars. We're retreating to our castles, and it's really that we just have not yet organized. That's the big one. It's that our different groups, clans, houses, orders have not organized. And when that happens, that's going to be amazing, and it will. It will inevitably happen because we are identifiable. So somebody has to come. Just like Prince Buster said, they've got to come, they've got to come. They've got to come my way. These bad-minded people, what in the world have I done? These bad-minded people, they want to see me go wrong. They got to come, they got to come. All right, later.